developments rival the explosive growth of artificial intelligence. AI is estimated to contribute $15 trillion to global GDP by 2030. In fact, it has been argued that the country leader in AI is to become the world's prominent power of the future. Now, some call AI the pinnacle of human ingenuity, but some others also have some expectations vested into AI. For example, recent Gartner's hype cycles are dominated by AI based technologies like robots, chatbots, and the variants of AI itself, for example, causal AI. With the rise of artificial intelligence, the issue of trust in AI emerges as a paramount societal concern. Despite increased attention of researchers, the topic remains fragmented with a common conceptual and theoretical foundation. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Analytics Insight podcast. And I'm your host, Priya Dialani. Today, we are tackling one of the biggest questions in enterprise technology: what do buyers really want from AI? If you think the answer is intelligence, the smartest algorithms, the most powerful models, or the fastest insights, think again. Because in the enterprise world, intelligence only matters if it's trusted. Now, enterprises aren't just buying AI tools, they are investing in solutions that will run their operations, shape customer experiences, and influence billion-dollar decisions. And no matter how sophisticated the technology, if leaders don't trust it, its outputs, its governance, its alignment with business goals, all the adoption stalls. Let's welcome Anurag Jain, co founder at Oriserve, to tell us more about intelligence versus trust. Hi, Anurag, how are you doing?
I'm doing. Thanks for this podcast, Priya.
Great, Anurag. It's a pleasure to have you on a podcast today. And I think we are going to discuss a very critical topic today in our podcast discussion that, what should really buyers look for when they are investing in AI solutions? Should they actually go for intelligence, or, what is the impact that trust can, shape or influence their buying decision? But before we dive deeper into our conversation, we would like to know more about Oriserve. So if you could, brief us about the company, its specialization, it would be great.
Sure. So, Ori is a deep tech conversation AI company. So, we are a 7-year-old organization. And so, we automate conversations on calls, basically automating 70 to 80% of the conversations which enterprises are dealing today. And we specialize in RevOps, basically driving revenue operations for our clients through our intervention. And we drive human-like conversations, multilingual at scale, and which are context aware and are aware about a goal. So if a conversation is around doing lead qualification or collection recovery, right, then our AI optimizes to basically maximize that business KPI. So that's about Ori in a nutshell.
Great. Thank you, Anurag, for helping us understand about the company, and thank you for that insightful overview. And we are really glad to understand the core mission and specialization of the company. Building on that, I would love to dive a deeper into your personal journey, Anurag. You're a tech strategist and entrepreneur, passionate about turning cutting edge ideas into impactful solutions. I think over the last more than 12 plus years, you have worn many hats: product manager, AI advocate, startup scaler, and you're always driven by a mission to empower business through technology. So, can you tell us more about yourself? How has your journey been till date? Or, what led you to co found Oriserve, and what exactly is your role at the company today?
So I'm a 2011 graduate from IIT Kharagpur, and post that I got a break into AI very early on when this was in very nascent stages. So back in 2012, I was working with Fractal Analytics. So there, I got very passionate and got to dive deeper into AI. So we were working with the large MNCs at that time, right? When there was no generative AI, we were working on predictive regression models, right? And solving some real business cases at that time. So that's where I build expertise on machine learning and AI. And that's where I also met my co-founder, Maaz Ansari. Suppose that we have done multiple stints together. The vision and there is a lot of passion in the capability of how AI can impact real life scenarios, right? Be it for enterprises, be it real life cases, right? Where we see AI impacting our lives day in and day out today. And with the coming of generative AI, right, it has become even more prominent now, where everyone is aware about AI. And there is a lot of awareness which generative AI, OpenAI has built in the entire world, right? And we are at the conjunction of how this is coming together. So, from my role perspective, I at Ori, I look at product strategy and revenue realization once the post sale has happened. So that's my focus areas and my strengths.
Thank you, Anurag, for sharing that. And I think the kind of impact you're making clearly goes beyond just the day-to-day responsibilities, and it really reflects the vision driving the organization forward. Now, I would love to take that a step further and talk about the broader picture now. When enterprises evaluate AI, they're not just comparing features; they are weighing risk versus reward. Now, on the surface, the checklist may include accuracy, speed, cost efficiency, and integration capabilities. But beneath the surface, what really drives buying decisions are questions like: will this AI scale across my organization without breaking existing workflows? Or does this vendor understand my industry and compliance needs? But for CIOs, it's not just about keeping up with the latest innovation. They are under pressure to find AI solutions that actually deliver by creating real value, scaling effectively, and integrating with existing systems. So I think enterprise buyers are increasingly skeptical of the AI hype today. So, what are the top three things they really want from AI vendors today?
Absolutely. So see, you're right when you say that enterprise buyers. So there is a lot of hype around AI, and everyone wants to adopt AI, right? But these, like whatever processes where AI is intervening today, has been there already and working in some fashion today, right? Be it with humans or with some simple web automations or RP automations, right? And these have been built over time, right? And reached a particular accuracy and scale where they're performing and are stable. And when an enterprise buyer is buying an AI, it looks like, and there is a lot of gap in terms of understanding. And the way it works is you have to start by proving whether it is actually working and giving an ROI. So cost is justified once there is a impact which is AI is able to deliver. So there are a lot of promises when an AI is being pitched to a particular enterprise buyer, right? Like this will change and your revenues will become 2x. But when it comes to real life scenarios, practical scenarios, right? Like in our case, also when we work with voice AI agents, our AI agents, we start with an expectation, right? That first, and we our real work starts once we go live, when there is a continuous learning loop, and we are always going in an expansion manner. So we will first deploy our AI solutions on 5% of the base and continuously increase when we have reached that accuracy levels and that ROI metrics, right? So these things matter, right? Where for enterprise buyers, it is important. There is a trustworthy performance, right? And that trust comes by building that impact early on and building continuous learning loops over there. Second important part for an enterprise buyer is whether it can adhere to all the compliances and the security, right? So where in our case, we build a lot of AI observability stacks and build those metrics, which gives that confidence to an enterprise buyer. Okay, this is something which is compliant and which is secure. And then from there on, it is scales. And finally, cost is important, but if it is delivering performance, so lastly, it would be how we as vendors, right, AI vendors, can continuously become an extension, and there is a continuous learning. So it is not just a one-time deployment or one-time sale for enterprises, right? It is a continuous partnership where we keep on building further, right? So that it becomes better and better over time.
Great. Thank you for sharing that perspective, Anurag. And I think it really highlights how the conversation is shifting away from buzzwords and more towards outcomes that truly matter for enterprises. And I think you've just outlined and highlighted that buyers today aren't just dazzled by innovation. I think they're really looking for measurable value, reliability, and even transparency. And I think that's where trust and long-term adoption also comes into picture. Now, let's
That's right.
build on that thought and continue further. Now, experts emphasize that AI technology itself is neither good nor bad in a moral sense, but its uses can lead to both positive and negative outcomes. With AI tools increasing in sophistication and usefulness, people in industries are eager to deploy them to increase efficiency or save money or even shape the human decision making. But are these tools ready for the real world? As any comic book fan knows, with great power comes great responsibility. The integration of AI raises questions about trust, bias, privacy, and safety, and there are few settled simple answers, definitely. But when enterprises evaluate AI solutions, intelligence is often marked as a differentiator. But in your view, why does trust actually matter rather than raw intelligence?
Sure. So, as you said, right? So, we basically, with the great power comes great responsibility. So, for us and for AI vendors, it is very important that since we are the gatekeepers of on how these deployments happen, right? And what are the guardrails built around this. So, it is very important that early on, right? For example, at Ori, we have built guardrails on whenever we are solving a particular use case, right? We build a lot of grounding and a lot of data securities and awareness about the context so that it doesn't hallucinate and it doesn't impact any cultural nuances where it should not have behaved in a particular manner so that it is more neutral and aligned with the brand guidelines on communication guidelines, right? So it is compliant. On the other hand, it is also aware that it has to so we do regular audits, right, on our platform through AI and through manual audits to ensure if there are any safety incidents which happen, right? So they are highlighted, and it is there are checks and mechanisms through which these records are kept to ensure that it is continuously monitored and AI is improved to handle those scenarios. So it is a responsibility where basically you have to handle this with a lot of precautions, right? And understanding that once you're deploying AI, you do it gradually over time. And there is an explainability part also, which becomes very important. So a lot of people like how we use LLM models in day-to-day life, right? So it is able to handle any kind of a conversation with us, but when it is deployed in a particular use case or a scenario, it becomes important how it is trained and it is basically explainable, like what will be the outcomes. So when in pre generative AI era, everything was web oriented, where everything was predictable. Like if I click this button, then the order will happen. But in today's world, there could be scenarios where we have taken an appointment, but that appointment is not booked. So explainability is also very important, where AI guardrails and monitoring to build that trust, right? Whether it is working in a particular fashion or not. So, and that is where the enterprises also build trust with us and then they get confidence, right? So, just to give you a sense of why this raw intelligence doesn't work, right? So, according to a recent MIT study I was going through, so 95% of the pilots, AI pilots, have not reached to a stage where they are production ready. So, those are failing very rapidly. So, that hype is getting killed. But because of how we adopted and build this trust factors early on in our company, right? We have been able to defy this trend, and we are actually doing 95% of our pilots are going into production today.
That was a very important perspective that you shared, Anurag. And It really brings out how intelligent alone doesn't guarantee adoption or impact. What truly moves the needle is whether people can rely on it. And in the enterprise world, trust is the currency that drives scale, because without it, even the smartest AI will, stay on the sidelines. And with it, companies can definitely feel confident to embed AI deeply into their workflows, decisions, and even customer interactions. Now, you mentioned about, transparency and, ensuring responsible AI. So remember the viral case of an airline forced to honor incorrect fare terms that a chatbot gave a customer. Now, as AI agents step into bigger roles, automating and carrying out complex tasks, accountability for mistakes like this is a real concern. Now, because when AI makes decisions on its own, who's on the hook if things go sideways? How can someone ensure AI accountability and prevent mistakes from happening in the first place? Because if we go deeper into it, I think AI accountability is a major concern for both employees and executives. In fact, it's such a pressing issue that the Wharton School recently launched the Accountable AI Lab, a research initiative focused on AI's ethical, regulatory, and governance challenges. So, I want to understand from you how important is accountability in enterprise AI, and how do you see companies building this into their AI governance strategy?
Sure. So see, from a governance and perspective, right? So when it comes to generative AI, especially, right, it becomes important, like how at the first level, right? So we can make it very intelligent if we keep it very open-ended, right? But from an enterprise perspective, it is important. And what we do in our case also is we do a lot of grounding, which is work do along with the enterprise buyers, right? Where they come along with us and understand like what is the exact use case we are solving, and we ground our AI to just operate in that particular boundaries. So which ensures at first level, right? So that it doesn't just become an unleashed in a very harmful manner, right? With where it can generate anything out of context. So that is the first thing which we build. Then the truth is, whatever measures we will take, right, there will be certain things which will come out because by definition, right, it is generating out of will, and that is how we get that outcome and behavior out of AI also, right? So it is a probabilistic method through which AI is working. And there comes the part of governance where there is a shared ownership, be it brand. So where they own the processes on how everything is defined and how the context is shared with AI so that it can follow that. And for us, it is more around as an AI company, right, that we ensure that we have observability mechanisms. So if there is any incident, right, so we have built another AI, which is actually observing the AI continuously. Like 100% of our conversations are audited through an AI tool, which ensures wherever there is a hallucination or safety incidents which are happening, right? They are highlighted, and as a secondary measure, right, just to ensure there is no miss, we also do sample audits every week. And if there are any incidents like this happening or highlighted to us, then our job is to make it more and more safe continuously. So the objective is like people also make mistakes, right? So that is the behavior of how AI also behaves because it is working more like a human being today. And the job is to train the AI in a very responsible manner so that it becomes better and better and the incidents don't happen in future.
Definitely, Anurag. I think accountability often becomes the missing piece in the AI conversation. Everyone wants the innovation, but few want to own the risks. And I think what you've highlighted shows that governance isn't just about compliance checklists. I think it's really about creating a culture where ownership is clear at every stage, from data collection to model deployment. And I think this emphasis on transparent responsibility is going to be a cornerstone for sustainable AI adoption in the coming years. Now, moving ahead, of course, when we are talking about implementing AI solutions, we are looking at a number of factors as to what this particular solution will be solving or certain pain points it will be addressing. Now, in today's enterprise landscape, measuring the effectiveness of LLMs and generative AI, it demands a deeper financial and strategic discipline rather than, traditional performance metrics. I think, you have accuracy, you have precision and benchmark standings. I think they remain foundational. But the true measure of AI's enterprise value lies in its alignment with strategic business outcomes. So, beyond accuracy, how should enterprises measure the success of an AI deployment, and what role does trust play in those metrics?
So once again, see, from measuring the success of AI depends on. So first important thing which every business executive who's adopting AI is looking at is the return on investment. So whether you are solving a case of resolution or a collection use case or a sales use case, right? So important metrics become what is the absolute revenue recovered through AI, or what is the cost per resolution, what is the cost per acquisition, right? So this becomes the primary metric which drives, okay, the AI is performing and it is giving reliable outcomes. For us, second important metric apart from accuracy becomes the health metrics and the safety trust metrics, right? Like what is the observability? So we have built certain innovative parameters in our company also around AI. So we have hallucination metrics, context relevancy, which our secondary AI is measuring. So all of these metrics give a sense of the health, whether the AI is when it is operating at scale, right? The latencies are in check, the performance is in check, the safety is in check. So all of these becomes the leading indicators in terms of what was the intent, what is the whether the customer was interested or not. It doesn't matter. Like a lot of times the sale wouldn't happen, but the AI could be performing to a first checkpoint level where it still has an area of improvement. And lastly, the metrics for engagement becomes very important early on. So initially, AI would not, let's say, start delivering outcomes really, right? But any business can write off AI adoption early on by saying that it is not delivering an outcome. But if we see engagement is healthy, so engagement metrics becomes third important pillar for us, where it gives us a view of how people, right, in real world are engaging with our AI agents, right? So that's also an indicator whether AI is performing, right? And if it is performing, the engagements are good, then there is a scope of making it work to finally make it give reliable ROIs. So that's on the metrics part.
Great. Thank you for that a perspective and an insightful share, Anurag. And I think what I find especially important in what you shared is that accuracy, while critical, is only, the one dimension of success, like we mentioned earlier. And without the certain factors that you just stated, I think even the most accurate model risks becoming irrelevant. So I think it's about building a very confident system which kind of ensures accountability definitely, and creating an environment where stakeholders believe in both the technology and the outcomes it delivers. So I think, in short, the enterprises of tomorrow won't just buy the smartest AI. I think they will buy the most trustworthy AI. So looking ahead, what shifts do you predict in enterprise AI adoption over the next, couple of years, 3 to 5 years? And how do you think we can, strike that balance with intelligence and trust?
See, I think so. There is a lot of hurry and like enterprise buyers are really confident that AI can solve real business cases, right? But today, as we know, these experiments are not moving into production and not able to deliver measurable outcomes as of today, right? So what I see as a shift which will happen over the course of 3 to 5 years, right, is basically obviously the models will become more and more smarter and there will be inherent safety guardrails built into these models. And but what will happen is enterprises works at very large scale, right? Let's say from a customer lens, I could have interaction with a brand on 5 different touch points. And when I'm talking to AI, it has to actually start consuming all of those data points and become completely aware when I'm conversing with a brand, right? It knows. And so for adopting AI in future will become like how much data can be processed in real time, how fast it can be processed, right? So there comes how the context window is being enhanced, and how enterprise can actually build an interoperable models where all of this data can be shared with AI in security, right? So second point, which will become very important, which is not being worked on today, but definitely it will be in future, right? Which we have a huge focus on is security. So data constraints, right? Data localization. So brands will want to operate since there's a lot of sensitive data being shared, right, with AI models today. So that is also a major gap where no one wants to share data, be it any kind of a company, right? So there comes the role of how these models can be deployed at scale inside the enterprise premises, right? So whether it is on their private cloud, or so basically making it more personalized and more secured for a enterprise buyer would play a big role in adoption. And then there could be also scenarios of how enterprises, so once there's interoperability is also will play a big role. So like right now, to make AI work, right, there is a lot of effort in terms of how do you implement AI within a brand. So the implementation in certain cases can take a lot of time if the integrations are deeper. So like how these model protocols have come, right? How they will entrench more deeper into enterprise cases, enterprise stack, right? So that it becomes easier for AI to interpret and share data within these boundaries or silos which exist today, right? So that will become very important. Also, how enterprises of tomorrow will invest heavily on making that data layer, right? So data will become the source or quality of the output also. So a lot of investments will also happen around how brands are ensuring the data quality at their side, right? So which will become like if a brand is really investing today on ensuring the quality of data hygiene and data structures they have built in-house, right? So those investments of today will become important for tomorrow when these data points will be ingested in AI. So the better structures are there, then more reliable outcomes a brand will be able to deliver. So I see that overall there is a very healthy excitement in terms of how brands are investing very heavily in adopting AI. And once all of these trust factors and becomes more and more nuanced and workable for enterprise brands, right? And lastly, I think it will not just be a, it's a product play where you have a very, as you said, right, a very intelligent model which is being adopted by an enterprise brand. It will be more around a continuous learning because there is a very long fat tail in terms of how we as humans behave, right, in different scenarios. So it is unpredictable. So, for example, if we talk about India, especially, right, in our case, language nuances becomes very important. So every 100 kilometers, the dialects change. Uh, so we, as a company, are also investing heavily in terms of how we can include all the languages, all the multilingual. So basically reaching all different cultural nuances, right? And if we are operating for a brand, then it also becomes important that AI becomes better and better and learn in that particular context how it can perform. So those are very important things which will shape how enterprises will adopt AI in future. And I believe all of these things are being worked upon, and we'll be seeing a lot of adoption in the future. And lastly, I think the things which we keep seeing today, which are becoming better and better, is we have better latencies from large language models today, and the cost, there is a reducing cost fashion, which will work in the favor of this adoption of AI overall.
Definitely, Anurag. I think at the end of the day, AI is not just about what machine knows, it's more about what humans believe. And in enterprise adoption, I think belief drives the behavior. And if you ask the question, what do enterprise buyers really want from AI? I think it's not just intelligence, but I think they want intelligence that they can trust. Well, thank you so much, Anurag, for taking out the time and effort to be on a podcast today and, helping us understand that enterprises today are looking for solutions that can scale, integrate, and deliver outcomes while respecting ethics, compliance, and accountability. I think they are looking for partners who bring not just cutting edge technology, but also reliability and transparency. Thank you so much, Anurag, for being a part of a podcast today. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, Pia. It was a pleasure talking on this topic.
Thank you so much, Anurag. So, this is for our listeners. That's it for today's episode of Analytics Insight podcast. And I am Priya Dialani. And I hope this conversation gave you a clear lens on how trust and not just intelligence is shaping the AI marketplace. Join me next time as we explore more insights into the technologies and strategies redefining the enterprise world. You can view all our previous podcasts on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.